Hi everyone, welcome again with me today to continue with our lectures about elements of fiction. Now, previously we dealt with the narrative perspective, or the point of view, which is the answer of how. It means how the events are narrated. Today we'll try to deal with, if you can say, the most important and the major key element of fiction, which is the plot, right? We can say that the plot is the answer of what? What happens in the story, or what is going on in the story. So the plot represents the series of events and actions that take place in any story. And you know that any story is based mainly on those events and actions. Alright, so these actions, and events which occur or happen in a story are called, in literature, are called plots. The plot. Of course, this plot or these events from the beginning till the end, they have that kind of structure, that kind of flow, that kind of stream, within the course of the story. That's why, critics and scholars tend to identify, four major parts of any plot, from the beginning till the end of the story, Now, at the beginning, of course, writers start by what we call an introduction or exposition. Introduction. Number one, it's called introduction, or also exposition. At the start of any story, writers usually tend to present, to introduce mainly the setting, the time, the place, the conditions, the characters, to the reader. So in this, on this stage, we are going to learn about the characters and the setting mainly of this story. So here is the starting point, Then, after this introduction directly, we'll witness a rise of actions, rise of actions, development in the course of the storyline, of this story or novel, of course, due to maybe, it can be a problem, it can be a conflict, and it can be, also, a complication. But usually, what makes, the course of events arise is usually the conflict or the tension of conflict, which leads to the rise of action. So the second one is called the rising action. Second part of the plot is called the rising action. Rising action, which is usually caused by, as I said before, a problem or a complication, or but maybe it is a kind of conflict or struggle. Conflict or struggle, which leads to that complication development, at the level of the story events. Now, of course, when we speak about conflict, here we can mention different types of conflict. This conflict can be either internal, it can be either internal, within a character himself, between him and himself, for example, that kind of, internal struggle, whether to sacrifice, something or not, whether to, help someone or not, whether to engage in an action or not, and so on. We can mention here as an example for this internal conflict, the short story of The Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe, and that character was struggling himself, alright, and living that traumatic, you can say, thought between him, and himself about, the murder he committed, or the crime he committed, and made at the level of the corpse he has in his house. So he was living that struggle, that conflict within, right, about the crime he committed. Also, we have the second type, which is an external conflict. Here it can be between a character and another character. It means man character. For example, here you have remember the example of Lord of the Flies, by William Golding, when Ralph and Jack, right, were in struggle together against each other, right. When Ralph represents goodness and Jack represents evil, and savagery. Here we have two characters against, each other. Another, type within the external conflict, we have man versus or against also nature. Here also we can mention the example of the old man and the sea. When Santiago, the old man, defies, challenges the sea and the fish, right? In that struggle, and long voyage of him, to hunt, or to catch that fish, at the end, of course, he expresses his love, to that nature, and he says, I love you, fish. Also, we may here also remember, if you can say, Daniel Defoe's Robinson Crusoe, why not? In that island that he broke down on, you can say, clear. He lived in that island alone, right? You can say, trying to adapt to the different conditions, and the natural environment, of that island. So here we have a kind of, you can say, not conflict, but a kind of adaptation, between him and that nature, right? That nature. Also, we have another type of external conflict, which is between man and his society. Here also we can mention Ralph Ellison's masterpiece, Invisible Man, one that black character, right, because he was defying, was challenging, was, you can say, in struggle, with that white dominance, white class, in his society, which represents, you can say, the mainstream dominant class, alright. Here we can say that this novel represents that struggle between man and his society, racist society, racist and apartheid, society, and so on. Good. Now, after the rise in action, of course, the action or the course of the action will develop, will rise until it reaches its peak, the summit, the peak. Right, here we have introduction. Then we have here, this point represents the introduction. Then here we have rise in action. Then here when rise in action reaches its peak and the summit, right? The highest level of complication, in the story events, It's called the climax. the climax, the highest level of complication in the story, when we hold our breath, when we are a bit afraid, a bit astonished, a bit, I don't know, you can say curious to know, okay, what will happen, okay, after this point in the story. This one also is called a crisis, okay, crisis point, crisis. Sometimes also it's called turning point in the story, okay, turning point in the story. Here also we leave that, you can say, highest, you can say, level of suspense in the story with the climax. Okay, but right after it, directly after the climax, okay, the events and the incidents, okay, or the course or storyline of the story will fall now. Okay, we turn. Here we witness another stage and another part in the plot structure, which is called the falling action. The falling action. Falling action, or also it's called dénouement. Dénouement. Dénouement, it means here after this point of the climax, the action or the actions, the events of the story, okay, start, we can say, being milder. Okay, being milder when, okay, the questions, okay, are answered, when the problems are being solved, okay, when the ambiguity, okay, we may encounter the climax, okay, is being cleared, okay, step by step, okay, when we reach the falling action or the dénouement. Dénouement, okay, is the French word, okay, which is taken from the French language to mean untying the knot, okay, untying the knot. Here you open, you can say, the problem, you solve the problem, and you reveal all the mysteries, okay, which happen after the climax. Now this, of course, dénouement or final action represents the end of the plot, and we have different types of ending. It can be a happy ending, right, or a tragic ending, an unhappy ending, or sometimes, like many of the modern, okay, stories, we have an open-ended plot, when the end is open, right, left to the reader sometimes, right, to read, you can say, the end and to interpret by himself, to guess, to expect, okay, and predict, okay, what may come, all right, at the end of the story, Good. Now, these events, of course, from the beginning of the story till the end, all right, are usually have that course, okay, stream of actions, action and the flow, right, of narration. That's why we can here mention or differentiate between many types of ordering these events. Okay, ordering these events, because some writers may follow that traditional and chronological order of events. Okay, traditional and chronological order of events. Alright, so this way is called chronological or linear also. Linear type of ordering story events. Ordering the plot events. Clear? Other writers sometimes also they avoid, okay, and violate this traditional order of events, okay, from the beginning till the end, which are ordered according to the historical time of the story. For example, he was born, he studied, then he worked, he met, he traveled, and he died, or he won, or things like that. Other writers, I said, they violated and they broke, okay, this traditional plot, okay, by starting from the middle of the course of actions. They start from the middle, okay. This technique is called in media res. It's called in media res. In media res. So we have first chronological or linear order. Number 2, we have in media res. It's a Latin word, related to Latin language, which means starting the events of the story from the middle. Okay, from the middle. For example, sometimes you may find a story which starts with, or a movie, for example, okay, based on a story that starts with someone who is running away from something, running away from something, he is escaping something. Here it's in the middle. Then the story events, okay, will tell us later about, okay, what happened, okay, after after he's running away from this or that incident or thing. Okay, so in the rest, second one, from the middle. Start from the middle. Also, we have another important way of ordering the story events when starting, okay, in the present and returning to the past. Returning to the past. Okay, return to the past. Maybe here we can mention the technique of flashbacks, right? Some stories may start normally, right? But we expect as readers to have, I don't know, that chronological order of events. It means from the present to the future, but writers tend to return us to the past every time by inserting some past scenes, clear, as if the present is based on these past scenes. Alright, these past scenes, of course, they here use the flashbacks. Okay, the flashback is one of the techniques that writers use, okay, to create suspense. Okay, create suspense in their plots and stories. There are, in fact, many other techniques, but the most attractive one is suspense. Okay, the most attractive technique, right? Writers use to, if you can say, flavor, right, and to make their plots more attractive, more, exciting, more interesting, is suspense. Suspense is that, if you can say, sense of excitement, of tension, right, of amazement, right, at the level of the story, when the reader, okay, experiences, okay, with the plot, that rise of emotions, of feelings, of curiosity, and so on, clear, and so on. So here, usually writers, they tend also to raise or problematize or evoke some questions in the reader's mind to create that suspense. Clear. So suspense is very important in stories, okay, as well as in movies which are based on stories, to attract the attention of the reader and the viewer too. Clear, viewer too. All right. Another also technique which is widely used today is the flashback. The flashback, when writers, I said, insert a scene from the past in the course of the storyline, okay, of the storyline or the actions of the story. Okay, they insert some past scenes. Why? Here to just, if you can say, construct a clear image, okay, of the truth, right, between the past and the present. It means that you can know or learn about the present unless you go back to the past. Here also we have that kind of suspense, we can say, okay, suspense, and violating, or we can say modernizing, right, the plot order, okay, the plot structure, you can say, to attract the reader, right, and also make him excited about, right, what he is reading. Another one technique also, which is, if you can say, the opposite of flashbacks, is foreshadowing. Foreshadowing. What's foreshadowing? It is when you witness at the beginning of a story some clues or events which indicate something that will happen in the future in the story. For example, I watching a story at the beginning and you see, for example, drops of blood, red color here and there. Right. Here they indicate that there will be a crime. Okay, a big crime in the middle or at the end of the story. So these little hints or little signs or little symbols, all right, or little images, all right, which act as, you can say, introductory, all right, hints to what is going on, all right, which is going, okay, to happen in the future. What is coming in the future is called, this technique is called foreshadowing. Foreshadowing, right, means presenting clues about the future at the beginning of the story. So here we have number 3. We said from the present, okay, to the past. From the present to the past. Now for techniques we have, as I said, suspense, flashbacks, and foreshadowing. Now, if also we want to highlight a distinction between the two types of plots. We know that we have, okay, the plot, series of events from the beginning of the story till the end, right? Usually it is ordered, or these events are ordered chronologically, right? But on the other hand, especially with the postmodernist and the modernist plot, right, they depend on the notion that the truth is fragmented. The truth is fragmented. That's why they present and they include these writers, okay, of postmodernity and modern times. They include a fragmented plot. Fragmented plot. It means here the different events of the past, the present, okay, and the future are fragmented, are presented, okay, in disorder, are jumbled. Why? It's a kind of inviting the reader, okay, to collect the different angles, okay, the different facets, different sides, right, of, okay, the story, and construct them by himself to understand very well the theme, okay, of this story. Clear? So in this fragmented plot of modernism, postmodernism, writers here, okay, are influenced by the other arts. You know that arts, okay, have that kind of exchange of influence. Clear? For example, in the past you used to have Mona Lisa, a woman with one face, complete face. Nowadays you find paintings, okay, with, you can say, fragmented parts of the face. The eye is alone, nose is alone, the ear is alone, mouth is alone, fragmented and in disorder and also jumbled. Why? Because they want to, you can say, reflect that, you can say, notion of the fragmented truth. You have to collect different angles, different parts, different facets of something and construct it, right, to understand really, okay, its essence, okay, and what it connotes, okay, or embodies as theme or meaning, right, or meaning. And of course this is taken from the philosophical trend of constructivism. The truth is constructed and experimented. You need to, okay, test everything and also experiment with everything and construct and, okay, reconstruct things to understand the truth from all its angles and from all its sides. So this is generally, okay, you can say, an overview, okay, about one or the key element of fiction, which is the plot, the events of the story, the plot or the events of the story. Thank you so much, and see you in another lesson with another element.